A lot to do over the next 60 minutes. Sam Yarnell will be here later in the show, get into some baseball and some college sports news with him. A lot of baseball to talk about later in the show. We will spend much of the first half of this show with Patrick McEnroe. Does a great job over at ESPN and TNT on the tennis commentary. Hosts his own show on Mad Dog Radio on the weekends. President of the International Tennis Hall of Fame as well. Patrick McEnroe will be here coming up in about 10 minutes. Get some thoughts with him on this Wimbledon men's semifinal. You'll notice in that conversation, we don't address the women's semifinal because it was actually taking place as we were having our conversation on the show today. So we obviously couldn't get into that. I could tell you, though, Coco Gauff is out. She falls in her semifinal match. So Gauff is out. She will not be in the finals. She loses in a third set tiebreaker, 7-6. So very entertaining match, though. But anyway, Patrick McEnroe will be here. We'll get into it with him on the men's semifinal. Also get his thoughts on Serena Williams' return to Wimbledon at the age of 44. And get a sneak peek at his conversation with Roger Federer. He and Mary Jo Fernandez having a conversation with Roger Federer that'll air at 7 a.m. Eastern on Friday morning during breakfast at Wimbledon, their coverage there before those semifinals get underway. All right, a lot to do in this show, as I said. We always start things out, though, on this Thursday edition of the show. It's time for the Big Story. And the Big Story is presented by the Daily Wrap. SportsWrap with Jason Page's daily Substack newsletter. You want to know what we're talking about on the show? Real simple. Just go to Substack, search for the SportsWrap with Jason Page newsletter. Better yet, there's an easy way to do it. See that QR code right there? Just scan that with your phone. Everybody's got their phone in their hand these days. Just scan that QR code, and you'll get access and can subscribe to the Daily Wrap, which is available Monday through Friday. We're always putting great content up there. Sometimes we throw some videos up there as well. Our Substack daily newsletter available, the Daily Wrap. We hope you will subscribe. It's free, too, by the way. A lot of people charge for their newsletters. We don't charge for ours, at least not yet. Maybe someday, but not yet. The big story today comes out of the world of college basketball. We'll be doing some college football and some college sports analysis a little later on in the show. They have this new 5-and-5 rule we're going to be talking about. But how about the NCAA figure out something when it comes to one and done? Because Serbian forward Nikola Kusturic, I've heard it pronounced various ways. I apologize if only one of those is correct. This Serbian forward, 6'9", he's only 17 years old. Just turned 17 in April, as a matter of fact. He's 2 years from being eligible for the NBA as of now. And if you watch the video of him, he still has to grow into his body some. But there is talk this could be the number 1 overall pick in the 2028 NBA draft. I know. He's 6'9". Normally we talk about guys' height. He's probably still going to grow a little more if he's only 17 years old. Victor Wembanyama certainly did. But he was a standout performer at the FIBA Under-17. And that's some of the highlights you're seeing here are of him in the FIBA Under-17 World Cup in Turkey. This kid is, solidified stud prospect. Well, the word on the street today is that he's going to be attending UCLA and playing his college basketball there for a year, 2 years. I guess it'll be 2 because of his age and that being an issue. But it does call into mind, and you know he's not staying for 4. Although, when you start to hear the money that's been floated around in terms of how much this kid is getting, reports were circulating that he was offered 2 years, $12 million to go play at UCLA. And at this point, we have to start asking the question, isn't it just pro sports at this point? Do we even have to call it college sports anymore? Do we even need to keep the charade of the NCAA and all of this? Can't we just start breaking it down and saying this is the minor league for professional sport? 2 years, $12 million for a 17-year-old. that's barely shaving. By the looks of that picture, maybe he's not shaving at all. I don't know. There was a lot of flirtation, both from him and towards him, from schools trying to get him to commit to their university. Kentucky briefly considered him. Michigan and Kentucky both at different points were leaders in the clubhouse. Then Dusty May left for the Mavericks. That kind of mixed that up. And look, this kid's going to be really talented. Serbia lost to the United States in the gold medal game of this thing. How good was Kusturic, we'll go with? 37 points, 9 rebounds in that game. Second consecutive summer in which he was basically viewed as one of the best international prospects in the world. But you really can't help but wonder how college sports can continue to operate in the environment in which it is, when this young man, and by no fault of his own, hey man, if you can go get the money, go out there and get it. But when you could go out and get that kind of money just to go to college for a couple of years, you're not going there to get a degree. We already know that. The charade is up. Somebody that good is not staying for 4 years. The appeal of the NBA will be simply too much. Even if he stays for 3, he's not staying for 4. And if you're not staying for 4, it's just a charade. And he's super talented. And I can't wait to watch him in the NBA. And again, I don't blame any of this on him. But I do blame the system that continues to allow for this sort of charade to take place. And for all the things that we hear about Congress getting involved with, Caitlin Clark and Congress getting involved. Congress and Major League Baseball because pride hats were worn. Can somebody figure out a way to fix this problem? 2 years, $12 million. Go play in college. Wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I was a baller. We're coming back. Patrick McEnroe will be here. We'll get into it with him. Does a great job with ESPN on the tennis commentary. Wimbledon men's semifinals. The matchup is set. Who does Patrick like? Also get his thoughts on Serena Williams and a whole bunch more as Sports Wrap continues. Welcome back to the show. I've had my say in the big story. Let's let this guy have his say, because he's joining us all the way from the UK. The one and only Patrick McEnroe is here. ESPN tennis commentator. You have no doubt seen him and watched him on the coverage of Wimbledon. Now, just so people know, keeping it a buck, because of the time we're recording and the time difference and all this stuff that's involved. I'm in Las Vegas, he's in London. The thing we're doing here is I'm focusing mostly on the men, not because we're ignoring the women, but the women's match will be taking place between the time that we do this conversation and the time the show airs for much of the country in the U.S. and Canada. We're not ignoring the women, just letting people know that, because it's a great Final Four for the women as well, involving Coco Gauff. This men's semifinal has everything you could possibly want, Patrick. It's got Cinderella stories. It's got the old GOAT in Novak Djokovic. It's got Sasha Zverev, who just unleashed, hopefully a lot of people think, his potential after winning his first slam at Roland Garros. And it's got the number one player in the world. I mean, what more could you possibly ask for?
I guess the only other thing you could want is Alcaraz, but considering he didn't show up here with the injury, we've got everything else. You're 100% right. I got to start with the kid that played at Stanford, my alma mater. He's English. Well, he's actually sort of French and English. His parents are both French, okay? And he was born in France, but he grew up literally, I'm at Wimbledon right now, as you said, in one of our ESPN studios. This kid literally grew up like a couple miles from Wimbledon. We used to come here as a kid, used to practice here as a kid. Then he went to Stanford for a couple of years. He was a top junior in the world, but he didn't think he was just quite ready enough to go on to the Pro Tour. So we spent 3 years at Stanford, left a couple of years ago, and has kind of been working his way up, doing pretty well, but nothing spectacular. He was on the cusp of being directly accepted by his ranking. He was 114 coming in. but he wasn't high enough, so they gave him a wild card, just like they gave one to Dimitrov, like they give to up-and-coming, English players, etc. Most of them bomb out in the first or second round, okay? And this is the first British player, and they've given out something like, I said it during the match yesterday, I think it was something like 250-plus wild cards over the years here to British players, and he's the only one, forget about getting to the semis, that made it to the quarters. I was mesmerized by his game yesterday. I hadn't watched him that much, Jason, but I called the win yesterday against Flavio Cobolli, who just made the finals in Paris. And this kid was flying around the court. I mean, it was impressive to watch him. He seemed like he'd been there forever. He had beaten Dimitrov in a fifth-set tiebreak, and he was just eating it up. Center crowd, he had him eating out of the palm of his hand, and he just broke Cobolli down. He broke his spirit. 2 close sets, and then Cobolli went away. So now he's got the opportunity to play in the semis, as you said, against Alexander Zverev, who's playing the best he's ever played, period. Okay? And he's playing the best by far he's ever played on grass. He destroyed Taylor Fritz in the quarterfinals yesterday. Fritz seemed to be a little nicked up with a knee injury. So that's that matchup. Zverev certainly going to go in as a huge favorite. And then, as you said, you've got Jannik Sinner, who's got a little something to prove, I think, to himself. It's going to be hot. It's brutally hot today, in fact, for the women's semifinals. It's going to be pretty hot tomorrow, not as hot as today, high 80s likely. So after what happened in Paris, where the Heat beat him, and also after, maybe more importantly in this matchup, Jason, that he's playing Novak Djokovic, who beat him in Australia in the semifinals, which at that moment was a huge upset. And by the way, it would be a huge upset in the odds makers' minds again if Djokovic can beat Sinner for a second time this year and do it again at Wimbledon.
Even on grass, it would be that big of an upset if Djokovic could beat him?
I think so. I mean, Djokovic had to play a very taxing last match in the quarterfinals. I know he's got 2 days off, but that's overrated in my mind. If the legs are tired, they're going to be tired after a day off or 2 days off. And Sinner, up until that match they played in Australia this year, Jason, Sinner had been absolutely dominating Djokovic. He dominated him here last year on grass in the semifinals, on clay, beating him on hard courts as well. I think Sinner is a solid favorite. Does grass give Djokovic maybe a better chance even than you could say on hard courts like in Australia? Probably, because he's been such a great grass court player. The points usually can be a little bit quicker with big serving. So, as the match goes on, it should favor Sinner. But the Heat now a little bit of the X factor to see how Sinner, if he gets into a tough physical battle and if it's very hot, which will be in the back of Djokovic's mind, if I can hang in there with him. But just shot for shot, Sinner's hitting the ball bigger off both wings. He serves bigger. Djokovic has a little bit more variety and his experience, coming to net, using some different angles and slices and drop shots. But overall, if you just go toe-to-toe, shot to shot, Sinner's got more firepower.
Ferry and Zverev, to go back to that match for a second, and I know why it's near and dear to you too. The whole college tennis thing has been, front-facing for you in a lot of the conversations you've been having with people. But to break it down from a match that, really is David versus Goliath. He's 5'9". I don't know if we mentioned that in this conversation.
Yeah.
That is, by today's standards in tennis, you don't see guys that size.
No, you're 100% correct. Highly unusual, particularly at the highest level. But this guy uses the grass as well as anyone that's playing, meaning he can hit the ball flat. He moves into both corners. He slides on the grass. He uses a slice forehand as a defensive shot. He comes to net, beautiful drop shot. But you're right. Zverev is 6'5", or whatever he is, and he's got a massive serve, and he's playing with that freedom, as you said. Now that he's won the major, he can say whatever he wants, which is true, that he says, I'm playing better, I'm just playing better. But that monkey was a gorilla that was on his back. And now you can see he's playing with some freedom. His serve is massive. His ground game is massive. He moves well. But this guy, Ferry, is going to have to figure out a way to get Zverev out of that comfort zone, just behind the baseline. Use the drop shot, try to come to net. It'll be fascinating to see what he tries to do. He may just get overpowered, but if he can get into some rallies, keep it close, I think it'll be interesting.
I'm holding you for one more, but in the last 30 seconds of this segment, in your mind, Has Zverev been unleashed now because of that win at Roland Garros? Could we have a big, I know if you want to include Djokovic, a big four right now, at least for a little while?
Well, I think he's got a shot to do that. I mean, I think if he plays Sinner in the final, either here or, the Alcaraz comes back, let's say at the Open, he'd still be the underdog. But the fact of the matter, now that he's won that big one, I think it'll allow him to play his best tennis in the majors. And, he's always been a great player in the majors. Never been a great player at Wimbledon, but now he's starting to think, you know what? Why not? Why can't I win a couple more of these?
Patrick McEnroe hanging out with us from the Wimbledon set. We'll have one more segment with him next. Welcome back to the show, joined by our friend Patrick McEnroe, who's at Wimbledon for ESPN, hanging out on the set over there. We're talking to him during the women's semifinals, just so people understand why we're not talking about the women's semifinals, because by the time you see this, we will know who's meeting in those finals of the women's event at Wimbledon. So we focused on...
It is worth noting, though, Jason, this will be the 10th consecutive year that there'll be a first-time Wimbledon ladies champion. So I know Coco has won a couple majors. She's the only one that's won, she's won 2, but she's never won Wimbledon. She's never even been this far to the semis. So, yet again, the 10th different winner in 10 consecutive years. Pretty amazing.
And I'm so glad you bring that up because it dovetails beautifully into the whole conversation about Serena Williams and this comeback she's attempting to make at the age of 44. She lost in the first round. If you blinked, you might have missed it. She was there, and then she was gone from the singles event because she lost early on to Maya Joint. I want to get your takeaway, as much as you can get from one match,
right?
Not having any singles lead into it, and just being out there and doing her thing. She looked slimmer. She looked trimmer. She's obviously going to have to get her conditioning for playing in these singles matches. What was the overall takeaway for you from watching Serena in that match?
Well, first of all, Jason, you got to tip your cap to her for just doing what she did. I mean, at 44, she has nothing left to prove, but she wanted to come back, and to do it at center court Wimbledon takes some guts. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I don't care how many titles you've won. To do that is pretty impressive. So here's what I took away from her match. There was a couple of things I was looking for. Obviously, the speed on the serve, which pretty much she had, the same kind of speed on the serve. I was looking for the speed moving in and out of the corners. She didn't really have that at a high level. She was hitting the ball well. I mean, when she got the ball in her strike zone, I was impressed with the way she was hitting the ball. When the ball was in her vicinity, she moved okay, like the footwork was pretty good. But when she got stretched and she got to a corner, she didn't really have that ability to explode to one side or the other and cover, the next 2 or 3 balls. So that's something that could probably get a little bit better. But apparently she put it out on her Instagram. She hurt her knee, and that's something that's not surprising given, it was a tough 3-set match. Mm-hmm. She fought back to win the second. She could have lost it in straight sets. I thought she hit the ball pretty darn well, but I think what she also realized, at down a set and a break, was that her normal shot, like the way she had played when she had retired, 4 years ago, in those last couple of years, wasn't doing much damage. And this was against a solid player, but not a top player. Mm-hmm. And then she realized she had to ramp it up and even hit the ball bigger, which she was able to do. But whether she can do that consistently once she plays against the top players, I think is a huge question mark. And she was supposed, hoping to play doubles with sister Venus. She tried to get the knee, better over a couple days, but she eventually pulled out of the double. So it sounds like she's going to try to play again this summer, or tournament or 2, and then of course come back to New York and give it another go at the U.S. Open.
I can't wait to see it. I'd like to see her at her very best by the time we get to the U.S. Open, whatever that very best at 44 right. may wind up being. Can I ask you, I don't want you to scoop your interview with Roger Federer, because I think it was you and Mary Jo Fernandez did a 2-on-1 with him over there at Wimbledon. I know it's going to air on Friday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern over on SportsCenter or on is it going to be on
a breakfast show?
Breakfast show. That's what it is.
We have a breakfast show, so we're leading into the semifinals.
Yeah. So what was I don't know how much you've talked to Roger over the last few years. But what was the big takeaway that came from that conversation with him? In sort of summarizing the conversation.
Well, first of all, the first thing I asked him was, why does he come back, to these tournaments? He loves it. He says he just absolutely loves tennis. He loves to be around the sport. They showed him, he came to the Royal Box one day this week, and he was the only one sitting there because they all go off in between matches to get tea, and he was there. Respect to the players and to the game. I mean, it's just all class. He actually did a clinic with him the day before, Jason, for the International Tennis Hall of Fame. As you know, I'm the president.
Yep.
And he donated his time to us to do one day of events for us, one of which was helping run a clinic for kids here that the Wimbledon program supports. So we partnered with them. So I got to go out on the court with him and Kim Clijsters, my co-president, who's also a Hall of Famer. And he just is amazing. And anything he does with the kids, we had a little reception for him later in the day with him and some of our big donors. And again, he's just so relaxed. I think he appreciates now more. I asked him, actually, it was interesting. I asked him about that 3-year window, 04 to 06, when he averaged 5 losses a year. I think it was like 4, 6, and 5 over those 3 years. And I said, what do you remember about that? And he actually said something really interesting. He said, I don't really remember that much about it because it was sort of the beginning of my career and everything. I was just on the road. It was just go, go, go. And I didn't have the same perspective, that I had later in my career, and obviously that he has now that he hasn't been playing. But he loves the sport. I think, to me, he's more popular now than he's ever been, which is amazing. He walks in, he looks like James Bond, but he always has that attention to give to other people, and I think that's what makes him so special.
Do you feel like he's found his niche outside of tennis? A lot of athletes struggle with that. Do you feel like he's found that one thing?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's so comfortable in who he is, and he still loves to get out there, he says, and hit a few balls. He's actually going to play an exhibition match before the U.S. Open. He's going to play one for us up in Newport at the Hall of Fame, which is going to be amazing, with some other Hall of Famers. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I think he loves to still play. He says, I like to hit the ball. I don't like to, play competitively anymore. But yeah, I think he's busier now than he was when he was playing, Jason, because he's in such high demand. And the thing I love about Roger is that when he says he's going to do something, he does it. And they were, at the end of the clinic, all the kids, of course, came up to him to get the autograph, and it was very controlled. No one else was allowed on the court, no press. None of the parents, none of our Hall of Fame board people, everybody had to be away, because when Roger's there, he's going to give 100% attention to who's there. And he did that to those kids. And in fact, at one point, I kind of got the memo from, hey, we need to Roger's got to go to another event. We need to get him out of here. So I was like, hey, kids, and he was totally calm and cool, Jason. He signed every single thing.
Patrick, I got to go, and I know you got to go, but real quick, who winds up winning it on the men's side?
I think it's got to be Sinner. I think he's got something to prove. I don't see anyone beating him, but I think it's going to be a very interesting 2 men's semifinals for different reasons.
Absolutely. Patrick McEnroe, ESPN, and catch him on Mad Dog Radio on Saturday mornings as well. Thank you, my friend.
All the best, Jason. Always good talking to you.
Welcome back to the show. Thank you to Patrick McEnroe for making time for us from the set of Wimbledon, the ESPN set of Wimbledon. So appreciative, as always. Always jumps on and never says no. This guy says no from time to time, though. Sam Yarnell is here. Got to know when to say no.
I get asked a lot more. No offense, Patrick.
Yeah, I'm sure. He literally just texted me while we were opening the segment. So Sam Yarnell, let's talk some baseball as SportsWrap runs the bases with some of the top headlines. We'll also have some stuff in odds and ends as well that we'll get to if you're looking for more baseball there. So the Yankees, boy, oh boy. I mean, everything seemed like it was sort of smooth sailing until a couple of weeks ago for the Yankees. They were in first place. They were still winning games. Yeah, they weren't getting a ton of offense, but they were getting enough. Now they can't hit the broadside of a barn. And, I mean, Paul Goldschmidt sort of embodies what this team is going through right now. He's got, I think it's like the second or third longest streak in Major League history of going hitless. This is a guy that's, a borderline Hall of Famer, Sam, who's going to get 34 consecutive at-bats without a hit for Paul Goldschmidt. Yankees get shut out on the road in St. Pete yesterday by the Rays. They've dropped 2 of the first 3 in the series. They have no idea when they're getting Aaron Judge back. They're still missing Stanton. I mean, I don't know when it's time to worry with the Yankees because, as I said to David Ardsma, it feels like every year they go through one of these things where they lose a bunch of games, and we're all saying fire Aaron Boone. I'm usually at the top of the list and the front of the line for that, but I don't even know where to go.
That's a great theory, Jason. If only someone said exactly that was going to happen with exactly these Yankees before the season started. Oh, wait, that's exactly what I said would happen with the Yankees. They'd play really good for a couple of months. There would be this weird moment in June or July where they'd lose a ton of games. People would be calling for Aaron Boone's job, and the New York Yankee fan base would show itself for what it really is, which it's doing right now, by the way. Let's not let that go by the wayside. There are Yankees fans who are pulling every fire alarm left and right. Oh, and by the way, just another bad thing going on for the Yankees to add on top of all this, because I know that there are some Yankees clubhouse members who care about this. Jazz Chisholm's girlfriend or wife or whatever didn't get accepted to Streamer U with Kai Cenat and then spent an hour crying about it online. So that just added a little bit of insult to injury for these New York Yankees. No, it is an absolute disaster for the New York Yankees right now, right? And it's, Jason, so funny as much as these things happen with the Yankees and the June swoon and the July swoon, as so many people talk about happens with the Mets. It's the exact same thing happens with the Yankees year in and year out. And with the Mets being as irrelevant as they are, the people are going to focus on the Yankees in New York. But the issue, as it is so often with the Yankees, is way more off the field than it is on the field, right? It's the off the field stuff that is very clearly affecting the on the field stuff. And what the root of the off the field stuff, if you want to call that the on the field stuff, then we'll get into a chicken and the egg argument, and that'll be very interesting. But the Michael Kay thing yesterday being an entire embodiment of this entire season for the New York Yankees. Anthony Volpe, one of the biggest disasters in recent Major League Baseball history, who has had a longer leash than any other bust in recent Major League Baseball history, is down in the minor leagues. And Michael Kay, the play-by-play voice of the New York Yankees, see ya! It goes on his radio show on ESPN New York and says, oh, well, I've heard, Susan, that in the minor leagues, they asked Anthony Volpe to play second base, and he said absolutely not. He said, I'm a shortstop, and that's a really bad look for Anthony Volpe. Only for 12 hours later, some member of the front office to go up to Michael Kay, say, hey, dude, you're the play-by-play guy for this team. You probably shouldn't be saying things like that on your radio show. And then he tweets out a lame retraction. It's an embodiment of the entire New York Yankees season, Jason. I mean, I don't think disappointment is enough to say where the Yankees are at right now. They're 5 games back of the Tampa Bay Rays.
Credit to John Schneider on a slightly higher note, because I went off the other day about Yuri Perez not getting the chance to finish his no-hit bid for the Marlins.
You did go off.
I did. And Dylan Cease last night had like 115 pitches going into the 9th inning against the Giants in San Francisco in a 10-0 blowout. And kudos to John Schneider for letting Dylan Cease try to finish that thing off last night. Normally, we wouldn't talk about a guy blowing a no-hitter, but in this case, we are, because if I'm going to crush the manager of the Marlins, I have to give the praise to John Schneider, Sam.
I got to know what John Schneider's viewing history is. I think he's been watching SportsWrap on Games Plus up north of the border.
I would agree with you. Pete Crow Armstrong. 2020, first guy in the big leagues to do it this year. Only the third, I believe, in Cubs history to do it multiple times, joining Ryan Sandberg and Sammy Sosa, if I'm not mistaken. Will you ever change your tune on Pete Crow Armstrong, Sam Yarnell?
No, I won't. It's unfortunate. It really is. But as long as he can, until he changes the way that he goes about the game, right? Because right now, Pete Crow Armstrong is really fun to watch for a quarter of the season. And the other 3 quarters of the season, it's hard to watch him play baseball. I'm sorry, the mistakes are still there. Like, the great moments are great, but when the mistakes are that bad, I'm not gonna say that my tune is changing on Pete Crow Armstrong. He's got a lot of potential. He just doesn't seem to want to realize it himself.
Sam Yarnell will be back to talk more baseball with me in odds and ends. We're going to get to some college football coming up here in just a couple of minutes. News on the Brendan Sorsby front with the NCAA in Cincinnati. And we'll break down the 5-5 rule that's coming to college athletics as SportsWrap continues. Well, it's the story that just won't go away for the University of Cincinnati, the NCAA. They're having all these college football media days. Are we really already doing this? Is it really already time for college football media days, Sam Yarnell? Because I'm not ready. I'm just not ready. Like, we've got 6 weeks, don't we? Like, I don't need to hear from all these coaches right now in the middle of like the heat of baseball season. We've got Wimbledon going on. Next week we have the Open Championship, which will be fun to preview, with Scotty Scheffler trying to win over there. I'm not ready for the college football stuff yet, so that's why I have you, because we're going to talk a little bit about college football here. So the NCAA is opening an inquiry into Cincinnati football, and it's about Brendan Sorsby. And for people that don't understand why we're still talking about Brendan Sorsby and Cincinnati after all this time, Sam Yarnell, explain to people, why are we still talking about Brendan Sorsby in Cincinnati?
You know, you're telling me to explain something that not even I really get. The thing with Brendan Sorsby is this. It seems every week, you think that he's exhausted every avenue to try and play football anywhere besides like the CFL or the XFL next year. And every week, without fail, something new pops up, a new avenue, a new lawsuit. This guy's just going to live in a courtroom until they let him on a football field.
And you know what? Look, I know there's a lot of people that are going to come after him hot and heavy. It's obvious at some point in his life, and who knows, I don't know the inner workings of what's going on in Brendan Sorsby's life, that he's had an issue with gambling. They had some sort of addiction, that he got drawn into this, as a lot of people do. And whether he has figured out a way to work his way out of it or hasn't, I have no idea. But there has to be a part of us that feels some compassion for, am I wrong? Don't we on some level have to have some compassion for this kid that's gone through this? As much as people want to say, oh, entitled athlete, told he's special all his life, blah, 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 blah. Don't we on some level have to bring this down to the human level, so to speak, Sam?
Yeah, but it feels like, gosh, man, much like the recent, the U.S. Belgium thing, right? Much like the U.S. men's national team thing, feels like there's a lesson that we can learn as an American society here, right? Feels like this might be another example of American entitlement here, right? You have this kid who grows up in the football capital of the world, in the American football capital of the world, in Texas, right? Playing quarterback at a 4A high school, right? Getting a bunch of college offers, albeit not great college offers. And, seemingly making these mistakes and feeling like he doesn't have to learn from them, feeling like he doesn't have to deal with the repercussions of the actions that he chose to make. Whether, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to discredit the addiction for the disease that it is, but I am saying, like, addiction or not, there are repercussions of every action. That's a simple fact of American society. It's a simple fact of human society, right? So it feels like there's a degree of American entitlement going on here that we need to learn a lesson from. If you make a mistake, that's okay, and we can forgive you and you can build from that, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to deal with the repercussions as heavy or weak as they may be.
I think that's well said. Considering I sprung that question on you. 5-5 rule, Sam Yarnell. Look, I mean, a lot of these guys that are in their fourth year, it seems like there's support for this rule. Give me your sense as to sort of how this 5-5 rule works and whether, it basically eliminates redshirting. Which I think frustrates a lot of us. The redshirt stuff can get a little convoluted at times in college athletics. What do you make of the settling, if you will, on the 5-5 rule for the NCAA?
We are at an incredibly unique junction in the history of major American sports. And this playing into it, the Major League Baseball impending lockout playing into it is all kind of affect this. Listen, I understand both benefits and disadvantages of this 5-for-5 thing. The benefits, like you're seeing these quarterbacks, like you're talking about, these fifth-year quarterbacks come out and talk, they want to go to the league next year. They don't want to have to look for excuses and find another transfer and that kind of thing. This is good for those guys. It's going to force them up. It's going to force, professional teams to take shots on guys and guys to get their shot at a younger age instead of being older and those teams having more of an excuse to be able to cut them. The thing that you mentioned about the red shirts, specifically the medical red shirts, is what kind of concerns me. Not so much in a sport like football, but definitely still in a sport like football. More so in a sport like baseball, right? And this is where the impending lockout plays into it. We've seen things thrown into contract negotiations between the MLB owners and the MLBPA that indicate that they want to severely reduce minor league baseball and focus more on college baseball, right? And use that more of as a pipeline for development. The problem with the 5-5 and that being mixed is you're going to have pitching staffs across the country at the college level just focusing on velocity. You're going to have way more kids having their arms explode at a much younger age and not being able to use that medical red shirt. You're going to have a lot of careers get ended because of injury more so than they are now at the college level. That's my only major concern.
It's funny you mentioned the arms exploding things. I was watching this video of a 15-year-old kid throwing 92 miles an hour. And I was talking about
super viral.
Yeah, I know it did. I was talking about it with David Ards. But if you get a chance, go online. It's easy to find this 15-year-old who can't find the strike zone at all. Yeah. But hey, he can throw 92 miles an hour and he's 15 years old. Sam
Yarnell in the outfield.
There you go. Sam Yarnell will be back with us in just a moment for odds and ends, some more baseball news, and an expensive NBA jersey. That's next. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Thursday. You believe it's already Friday? Where did the week go? I have no idea. Tomorrow's show, Tino Patino will be here to talk NASCAR. Chuck Todd on the show tomorrow. Talk to him about his beloved Washington Nationals as they get set for a weekend series with the Yankees. Is it the Yankees they're playing? Is that the series? Is that this series, or does that start on Monday? I know it's coming up in the next few days. The crazy part is the Yankees only
this weekend.
Yeah, what's crazy is the Yankees only have 2 more wins right now than your beloved Washington Nationals. So there is that. So we'll have Chuck Todd on the show tomorrow. Talk about that. Also, this Caitlin Clark story with Congress getting involved in the Caitlin Clark matter. That all on tomorrow's show. Before we go, a couple of reminders. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, the place to listen to us Monday through Friday. Subscribe today. It's free. We're on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, you name it. We're on all of them. Subscribe. We appreciate it. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things video Sports Wrap with Jason Page, the Monday through Friday TV version of the show with all the commercials stripped out, 45 minutes commercial free, waiting for you early each afternoon. A lot of times you can watch it there before it's even available on television. Pro tip, go and check that out. SportsWrap Originals are there, extended conversations, SportsWrap Shorts, these 1 to 3 minute long vertical videos made for people on the go. News breaks, boom, we jump in with SportsWrap Shorts because we can't be on your TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, although they'd probably love it if I was. Check it out, all on the YouTube channel. Also, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page website, sportswrap.tv. If you haven't gone to this yet, go and check it out. Everything related to the show is available there. The aforementioned TV version of the show, the podcast, the Daily Wrap, our Substack newsletter is available there. You could find your affiliate. Information about the show, contact us. You can do everything through the website at sportswrap.tv. And without any further delay on this Thursday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell, and Justin Verlander is calling it a career. A couple of MVP, a couple of Cy Youngs, some World Series, a surefire Hall of Famer. He's going to pitch the rest of the season. He is retiring at the end of the season. He's not the first guy to do that. Clayton Kershaw just did it, a year or so ago. Decided to walk away from the game and let us all know it. So Justin Verlander, for the rest of the season for the Tigers, and then no more. He simply said, he knew it was time physically. And I remember talking about this with our friend David Ardsma before the season started, around the time the season started. And he said, your arm still feels good, but everything it takes to get ready to pitch is what eventually puts you away. And it feels like that's what's happened here with Justin Verlander, Sam.
Yeah, the guy hasn't made a start since his leg exploded in March, and there's still no timetable for his return. He's not even throwing off flat ground. You think he knew it was time? Listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, Justin Verlander was a great pitcher. He, like you said, first ballot Hall of Famer, probably definitely a Hall of Famer. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the last 4 years of his career were good at all. Like, they were not. In fact, they were very bad. From New York to Houston to Detroit, right? Like, it's not been good. It has not been the ride off into the sunset that Justin Verlander hoped that it was. Luckily, the dude made a freaking career and a half for himself and a life and a half for himself in the 2010s, so he doesn't even really have to worry about any of this. But yeah, congratulations to Justin Verlander. He is going to be a Hall of Famer, hands down, no question. Probably a first ballot, I would say. But man, an ugly ending. Like, that is just not the ending that you root for anyone.
And he's still married to Kate Moss, which means he's always winning. Sam Yarnell, Alex Call, what are you doing? Using up the first two pitcher challenges, Dodgers challenges, in the first inning last night. And this is the second time I've seen this in less than a week, where a player has tapped his helmet twice, been wrong twice, and his team's been out of challenges. Now, the Dodgers would win the game. Kudos, by the way, to Shohei Ohtani. Hit his 300th home run in that game. Should be the headline, but instead we're talking about Alex Call. What are you doing?
Yeah, weird moment, but like, again, it's the first season of ABS. I think we talked about this when we talked a lot about ABS before the season started. Like, this is the growing pain, right? Like, there are going to be a couple of these games. You're going to see it a couple of times. Ugh. And sometimes it's going to work out and sometimes not. See, here's the thing. Sal Stewart, by far, by the way, the best challenger in terms of hitters in all of Major League Baseball, has challenged in the first inning multiple times. He just wins, so it doesn't matter, and we don't talk about it. It's just part of the growing pains of this whole thing.
Give me a little Jalen Brunson jersey. Game one of the finals Jalen Brunson jersey. At Sotheby's last night, they auctioned off a whole bunch of Knicks jerseys and Knicks stuff from the NBA Finals, and Jalen Brunson's Game 1 Finals jersey auctioned for $1,024,000, so $1,024,000 at the auction. Congratulations to whoever bought that. You have the ultimate flex.
Yeah, wow. I didn't even know they would. I figured I don't know, man. Did they wear different jerseys for every game of the finals?
So. Yes.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, like, wow. That's gotta be bad for the environment.
Yeah. But by the way, in related news, Josh Hart's jersey went for like $70,000 by comparison. So just making that known. Sorry, Josh. We got to go. Thanks to Patrick McEnroe. Thanks to you, Sam Yarnell. A Friday edition of Sports Wrap. We will see you for that tomorrow. I'm Jason Page. Bye-bye.